Have you ever had data in Excel that looks neat to the eye but completely falls apart when you try to use it in a pivot table or a pivot chart? That's usually because the data's in wide format, with each value having its own column. In this video, I'll show you how to fix that problem using Python directly in Excel. We'll use the Pandas library and the super handy melt function to reshape the data into proper long format. By the end, you'll know exactly how to unpivot your data using Python, and the best bit is this is completely dynamic and updates instantly as your data changes. Let's dive right in. Here's my data held in a table called tdata2. In previous videos, we've looked at how to use Power Query or formulas to unpivot this data. I'm sticking with the same format here. We've got teams and how many goals they've scored per month. The end output we're looking for is this unpivoted view where we've got all the teams running down a column, all the months running down a column, and all the values running down a column. That way we'll have a nice long format that we can quickly analyse with pivot charts or pivot tables or even Power Pivot. So for this solution, we're going to use Python for Excel. And the way we can start writing Python directly within Excel is by going to Formulas ribbon and then clicking Insert Python. You'll see this changes this area into a PY input, or instead of that, we can do in any cell equals PY, and then you can see creates Python formulas. So I'm just going to press tab, and then this has converted the formula bar into a Python edit. And here you can see we use Control and Enter to commit that Python code. So unlike a normal formula, if I press Enter in here, it behaves like a line break where traditionally in the formula bar we'd have to press Alt and Enter. So now that we've got the Python formula activated, we can start writing our Python code. So for this particular unpivoting function that we're trying to do here, we're going to utilize the Pandas library. So our first line of code should import the library that we want to use. So I'm going to put import pandas. You can see the ItaliCsense as soon as I've started typing has recognized pandas as a library, so I can press tab, as, and then PD. So that's our first line of code telling Excel what library we wish to use. I'm just going to press enter to come down a row. So now we need to provide some data to work with, i.e. this table called t_data2. So in Python, you need a data frame. So we're going to put df for data frame, and we're going to put equals to define the data frame, which is going to be nothing more than this table of data here. So the code for that is we'd use PD as our pandas, and then we'd put data frame. See, ItaliCsense has picked up data frame, so I'm just going to press tab on that. Then we're going to open our brackets, and then we can go from here to there. And you can see that's picked up that Excel range. We're going to close off our data frame function, the final bracket, and then I'm just going to press enter. And at this point, a bit like in a let statement in Excel, if you're familiar with that, you need to tell it what the final output of this Python code is. So I'm just going to put df. And now if we press Control and Enter to commit that, you can see we get a data frame, and then we're showing a card. So if we click on here, we'll get a preview. You can see our data frame is 3 by 8, which is these 3 rows here for Man City, Liverpool and Arsenal, and our 8 columns for our 7 months and our team names. We've also got a row index here at the beginning. So how can we see that data actually in Excel? We can go up to here, click the little drop down, and instead of seeing a Python object, we can request the Excel value. And you can see that has outputted the Excel table that we were after. So now I'm going to press enter so that we can move on to the next line of code. And for this step, I'm going to give it a variable name called unpivoted, because that's the action we're going to be doing here. And I'm going to say that step is equal to, and we're going to say df.melt. Now melt is the Pandas Python unpivot equivalent. So now that we've got the melt function, we're going to open parenthesis, and then we need to feed in the arguments So the first thing we need to do is state which columns we want to keep and which columns we want to unpivot. So starting with the columns to keep, I'm going to say id underscore vars equals to the data frame, and we're going to use the columns function. Now the columns function will allow us to define which column we want to keep using indexing. Now you can see what I've put here, df.columns and then 0 in square brackets. Now Python's zero-based indexing, just like Power Query. So our team is our first column, and then this 0 is going to define that column. Then we're going to put comma, and we're going to do value underscore vars. So this is where we want our values. And then we're going to use the same concept. We're going to go df.columns, and this time we're going to put 1, because that's our starting column with our zero-based index, or our second column. And then we can just put colon and close our square brackets. And because we've not defined an end number for that range, it'll just automatically pick up all the columns after column index 1. Then we're going to put comma. Now we're going to give the column headers some names. So we're going to say var underscore name equals month. So we want the month column to be called month. And then we're going to say value underscore name equals value. And that'll be the name for our goals column. And I'm just going to close parenthesis on that. And this time we're going to, instead of pulling the result of the df step, we're going to pull the result of our unpivoted step. We're going to press Control and Enter. You can see Python's busy. Now it's gone off to do that code. If we wanted the column headers to be slightly different, so instead of team month value, change that here to be goals. Control and Enter to commit. You can see that gives it the right column header. And if we were to add in another row, so test, and then give that some numbers. So we should be seeing test 5 in June. You can see that's now outputted. And if we look at test for June, we've got the 5 that we were looking for. We could also test adding months in, so new columns. I'm just going to put August as a new month. And then I'm going to add in 90, 91, 92 goals. And then you can see down the bottom here, we've got those new August rows and the correct number of goals. So that's all working nicely. We've got a nice instant result there. No need to click refresh. Python just automatically recognizes when the data changes and spills the results. A little tip for you, if your code's getting longer, you don't need to work in this small little window at the top. We can go to the formulas ribbon and we can turn on the editor. And if we click that, and then in this window, you'll be able to see your Python code. You can expand this window to make it larger, and we can test. If we get rid of unpivoted and change it to df, you can see that's not updated in the formula bar yet, but as soon as we hit save, that feeds back, and we've got the df step again. So I'll just change that back to unpivoted. Notice it recognizes that variable name, so we can use tab. Press save. We can also help our future selves by using the hash key, and then we could put notes in, a bit like VBA or Power Query. So we could say this step, we're defining the table range for the data frame. And then in this step, we could say unpivoting the month columns, keeping the teams. Adding some definitions to your code like that can help when you revisit it days, months, or years down the line. Saves you reading through all the code and maybe not remembering what you've done. And that's it. We've taken messy, wide format data, reshaped it using Python and Excel so that it's in nice, clean, long format, ready for your analysis. And the best part is it updates automatically. If you found it helpful, give it a thumbs up so other people can discover it more easily. Hit that subscribe button so you get notifications for the future weekly videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.